off your seat and inside the lavatories.
Our main goal for this New York trip with the baby is to... I feel like parenthood is just like tensions. This feels like a good time to talk about expectations. We had such a great marriage. We are in New York City. Whole family. Jason's in here. Cecilia is in her slumber pod right now, finishing up her first nap of the day. We ended up getting to New York last night around like 4:35ish, and we flew from Nashville to New York, which was also our first time flying with a baby, and that went super well. She ended up sleeping for most of the flight. I wore her on the plane so she was all snuggly, and there was like a moment where she woke up towards the end. She was awake during our landing, but it didn't really bother her. So I would say our first time flying with a baby, security and all the things went really well. She ended up being pretty content during the whole travel day, but we got in yesterday and we immediately dropped our stuff in the place that we're staying. We're at a Sonder right now, but we are in the most incredible part of town. We're at the intersection of 26th and Broadway, so you can see the Empire State Building and the Flatiron Building from where we're at. So it's such a good location, walking distance to like literally everything. But if you're staying in Manhattan, you're pretty much walking distance too. So much stuff. But we really love the room that we're in. We're in such a big, like, spacious room, especially for New York. We wanted something that was a little bit bigger so that Cecilia could sleep in her pack and play. We ended up renting the pack and play from Sonder, so we didn't have to pay for anything like that. But with Sonder, you get to ask for a pack and play. So we got one of those, and then we brought Slumber Pod, which she's sleeping in right now. Ladies and gentlemen, the Slumber Pod.
Just a marked up tent that they made black. I'll tell you, man, you said something for kids and 2x the price. And we'll just buy.
Yesterday, we dropped our stuff here, we fed, and then we ended up going to a wine and like cheese bar that's right across the street.
A French wine and cheese bar.
So you can hear me.
Special girl, you sure your mom?
Yeah. You had such a good nap though. Was that such a good nap? And then after that, we ended up just grabbing dinner at the park and got Shake Shack, which was so good. We've never actually had Shake Shack at the original location, so a burger sounded so good. I think our... Hi, did you have the best nap ever? Did you wish your dad a happy Father's Day? A happy Father's Day, yeah. She is hungry for her next meal. So we ended up eating dinner, and we decided for this trip, instead of trying to like do the most like we would normally do when we come to New York, our main goal for this New York trip with the baby is to enjoy the trip. So whether that means going to a casual restaurant or eating in a park or doing less things or just taking it a lot slower, we just really want to leave this specific trip being like, we did it. We would love to do that again. So this trip might look a little bit different. We did already get coffee. Jaywaz went out while I was feeding Cecilia this morning and got us Blue Bottle. And then I quickly got ready, but we're gonna do one more feeding and then we're gonna head out for the day. Jaywaz is being the ultimate dad on Father's Day right now. Baby in the front, diaper bag in the back. Look at him go. First and most important stop of this entire trip was La Capra, and we've been to their other location, which is actually much bigger, but we really wanted to try this location that was a little closer to us. Definitely small, no room. Sunday morning. Yeah, Sunday morning prime time. Definitely no room to sit, but we found a bench, and Cece has slept the whole time. He's gotten a couple happy Father's Day from people. Cardamom bun of his dreams. Stopping in the Filsa store, which is Jason's new favorite brand, and all of the dads are in here for Father's Day. Done the exchange so that Jaywaz could try stuff on. I love that. I was gonna ask if you wanted to get a t-shirt. You don't have any t-shirts for that. That one's awesome. Is that stitching in there? Oh yeah, that's really nice. You have to show them the cardigan too. You tried on. Flames. That is literally Taylor Dozy cardigan
I
trouble.
got it.
I'm obsessed with it. I love it. Looks very nice. Show us the button at the top.
I like how it doesn't like go way out in the back, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't it like actually fits?
No, it fits well.
And Chloe thought this was ripped
Not
or
ripped,
pulled.
but pulled.
But there's a
Little button.
button. This is definitely like big
That's your
protection.
vibe for sure. We're grabbing lunch, a spot literally across the street because we gotta put her down for her nap. But got an eggs Benedict. Oh, I guess he did too. We got the same thing. Okay, we just got back from lunch and little Cece slept the whole time. I ended up putting her sun hat over her so that she couldn't see what was going on because she was very stimulated. We were facing the kitchen and so she was watching everybody do all the prep. So I had to put her little sun hat on. She took a pretty decent little nap while we were eating, but we're gonna put her in her little slumber pod and give her an actual crib nap before we head out for the rest of the day. If you're wondering if the slumber pod is overrated, it is not, especially for naps during the day. I was thinking like at night, it already is kind of dark, so why would you need a slumber pod? But if your baby needs to take naps throughout the day, which most babies do, this is perfect. It has a little zip, like a tent, so you can zip them in there. And then up here is a pouch, and in here we've got her shusher, and then we'll put her sound machine in there. There's like a netting in there so that it doesn't fall through, obviously, but they can still hear it. And then on the other side, over here, there is a pouch for your baby monitor. But we are so glad we got this. I feel like this has been a lifesaver. Also, this is the carrier that we brought, mostly because Jason's been carrying her for most of the time. But this one is so great because it's like ventilated throughout the entire outer pouch. So one of the days here in New York, it's gonna be, I think, 93 degrees. And so I wanted to bring this carrier also because there's just more airflow in it, so your baby won't be as hot. But she's doing so good, and she's actually big enough to where she can like see out now. She needs to go down for her nap because she's so tired. Cecilia is up for her next feeding, so I thought this would be a really good time to talk about travel logistics with a baby. This was our first time flying with a baby, and overall I would say it actually went really smoothly from security to the actual flight and getting bags and all that stuff. She was such a dream, but there were some things that made, I feel like, our travel day with the baby a lot easier. First up, I want to talk about traveling with breast milk because I actually got a ton of questions about how to go through security with breast milk. I posted about this. This is the Sarah's Chill breast milk chiller. I ended up getting 2 of these and I brought both of them with us, but essentially these are breast milk chillers that you don't need ice packs for. So of course you can travel with bottles and ice packs, but if you don't have a freezer where you're staying, like your Airbnb or a hotel, then you need another option. And this is so nice when you're in a pinch. So these essentially look like thermoses, water bottles, but they're double insulated. So inside of this chiller here, you have 2 compartments. You have the middle compartment, which stores the breast milk. This one holds up to 6 ounces. And then this compartment here holds your ice water. You can also reverse it where this stores the breast milk and this holds the ice, but we didn't need to take 24 ounces of breast milk with us. We really just needed enough for a few bottles so that I could pump the first day that we're here, which is today, for the conference days. So it's kind of like a chain reaction. If you guys pump, you're familiar with it. You have to kind of pump in advance when you're traveling, but this is so great because I filled it up before we left with my breast milk, and then I just filled the actual container with ice water, dumped it right before we went through TSA, and then once we got through security, I was able to fill it up with ice water from the Delta Lounge. You can of course ask a restaurant to give you a cup of ice and they'll do that as well. But this was so easy to take through security as long as you don't have ice water in it. All you have to do is tell TSA that you are traveling with breast milk and just have the containers set aside. dry so that they can pull them out really quickly and do the test. They don't even have to open your breast milk. They kept it closed in the container and they just run a little like swab over it to check it. It was super quick. I think it took maybe like 7 additional minutes to like our normal time through security. And then once we got cleared through security, I just went to the lounge and filled it up with more ice water. We ended up having lounge access through my Amex card, but if you don't have access to a lounge at the airport, they actually have nursing rooms at most major airports. They're required to have lactation rooms that are separate from bathrooms. So if you are breastfeeding or even bottle feeding, they have separate rooms that are just a little bit more private. I also would recommend taking advantage of the family restrooms because they have changing tables and you can also, you know, lock the door in there. You and your spouse can go in there and that way you can have help while changing the baby. And then as far as rooms go, if you are traveling with breast milk, I would highly recommend finding some kind of room that has a kitchenette or at least has some kind of fridge in the room. Could be a hotel room, but a lot of hotel rooms here, especially in New York, are just really, really small. So you want to make sure that there's definitely room for a pack and play. A lot of times too, hotels or things like the Sonder will have rentable pack and plays once you get there. So that's just one less thing to take through the airport. But with this one, we at least needed to bring our own sheets. So we packed those. And then the last thing I would say is if you are staying in a big city is to consider where you are staying in the city. So obviously you want to be near a lot of stuff. You want it to be walkable. However, I will say last night it was so loud right outside of our window because we are on one of like the most major streets here and we are street facing. Last time we were here in New York, we actually had a hotel room that faced into a courtyard and that was a lot quieter. So definitely when you're booking where you're gonna stay with your baby, consider if you're gonna be like right over the subway, if you're gonna be facing a courtyard, if you're gonna be on Broadway. It's definitely a lot louder and it can be harder for them to fall asleep. It definitely took Cecilia a little bit longer to actually like fall into a deep sleep because when she would kind of start to doze off, there'd be like a super loud car that would go by or you could hear the people outside. It is the next day and I am currently in Madison Square Park, baby free, and Cecilia is down for her first nap. We got up, fed this morning. Jason went for a run while I was feeding her and then he came back and he's showering and getting ready and I'm running to go get coffee, but I'm stopping here in the park because the hydrangeas this year are so pretty. I don't remember seeing these hydrangeas this time 2 years ago because we were here at the same time. But they're so beautiful this year and they're all throughout this park. This park is like right by our hotel and I have just loved coming to see these hydrangeas pretty much every day we walk past this park. But yesterday, honestly guys, I had such a weird low point of the day. I think just because we were hoping to get back out around like 3:30, 4 and just spend the rest of the evening out and going to Soho and doing all the things that we used to do. And instead we had to like double stack a feeding and nap, and that ended up setting us back like almost 2.5 hours. And so really last night after we finished feeding, we put her down for another nap to try to get like one more just like good nap in because she hadn't had a lot of good naps during the day. So we didn't end up going back out until like 6:30, almost 7. And at that point we were like, we have to just go and get dinner and then come back and feed and put her down for the night. So we ended up going to the steak restaurant, which we actually had been to before. I think it was last year we ended up going to the steak restaurant, but it's like steak and unlimited fries for like $50 per person. And then you also get like a salad and bread and all the things. And so that was like a really good Father's Day meal because it was like a steak dinner, which is what he really wanted, but it was very casual and it was somewhere that we could bring her. I think that's one thing that we have to just be really mindful of is like what is a baby friendly environment, somewhere that like they won't mind if a baby starts crying or fussing, but then also that is a place where we won't feel like stressed about having her there. Sometimes I feel like when we try to go to nicer places, we can just feel a little bit more, not like anxious, but you're just not as like chill and relaxed at dinner as you would be if you didn't have your baby with you. So that ended up being a good restaurant. I did end up wearing her to dinner just because even though we have the Duna, all these restaurants are super tight and small, so there's not a ton of room to put a car seat. So I definitely had to wear her to that dinner, and that's something that I feel like we have to think about too, is like, since we're walking everywhere, wearing her too. We won't be able to walk too far because anywhere you walk, you have to walk back. So if you're wearing your baby, you can't, you know, stick them in the car seat and Uber back. So there's just like so many different things logistically that we have to think about now that are things that we just didn't have to even consider when we were here last year. So it's just like a very, very different trip. And I think last night I was just mourning what this trip has been, only because it's been so different than the years that we've come prior. Like, we've been here every year, I think, since 2019, and it's like one of our trips that we look forward to every year is going to New York and staying out late and walking around literally all day and getting our steps in and popping into late night jazz clubs or going to rooftop bars and all the things. And this trip has been wonderful. I've loved having her. It's so fun just like wearing her around New York and showing her all the things. And I wouldn't even say that like she has been hard on this trip. She has actually been a dream. I don't think that she could have done better except for like maybe that one nap. Travel day and every day and sleeping at night, she's done incredible. It's really just been me mourning like what it used to be. So it's not even that she's made it hard, it's just more so that like I remember what this trip felt like last year when we came, and the year before that, and all the years before that when we were just baby free, and it's just a lot harder with a baby, but it's obviously so sweet and it's so special, and I love her so much. Like this morning I got up with her and I like set her on the pillow and I just got to like tickle her, and she's starting to become responsive to touch and like tickling. So she wasn't giggling, but she was definitely smiling, and you could tell she like wanted to make noises while she was smiling. So I think we're like maybe on the edge of a giggle, which will absolutely melt my heart. I feel like parenthood is just like tensions. It's, you absolutely are obsessed with your kid. You love them so much. Every single thing that they do is just so beautiful and wonderful and joyful. But then at the same time, these early months, you're just remembering what life was so well before you had kids, and there's just this tension of like remembering that life so well. And especially Jason and I, like we had such a great marriage. We loved having fun together and we loved just like being us two, and so there's the tension of like missing that so much and then loving your current life and loving your baby obviously. And I think it just comes in waves, and certain moments like this, like going on a trip that you've gone on year after year after year and remembering what it was like previously and what it is now, I think just like kind of triggers those thoughts. Easy girl, you're looking so cute. Started out with breakfast at Good Things, which was so good. We really needed to start out with actual breakfast instead of just with a pastry from a coffee shop. We got Cece. I ended up feeding at the coffee shop, which was my second time feeding in public. First time was at the airport, and now we are gonna hit the town. We're closer to Soho. So we're gonna do a little bit of shopping, bopping in some of the stores here and seeing where the day takes us. Muji. We love you. The hot dogs. Muji and my sweet hot dog. So I said, why do I love this store so much? And Joe said, because you're Asian.
It's true.
It's true though. These are literally all of the best pens, highlighters, tiny little, tiny scissors. I get stuff for my planner here. Tiny little erasers, staples. One last time at La Cabra. We've been here every day, but today we actually got a seat because we're here more in the afternoon. She's been doing good. I've been on an iced matcha grind lately. Their matcha here is amazing. We've decided to start taking the subway, which has been a great vibe. You love the subway. You've done so good in your carrier. Yeah, but you're ready to eat your lunch. Currently vlogging on my phone because nursing, and this feels like a good time to talk about expectations on a trip like this. I feel like really if there's one thing that traveling with a baby has taught me, whether it's a laid-back beach vacation or a fast-paced trip like New York, is that you just have to go with the flow. And that's something that I am really trying to get better at, because if I'm being completely honest, I am a very type A person. I'm a very go with the plan, try to have a schedule, try to know what's coming down the pipeline. And a day like today is the perfect example of what it's like traveling with a baby. It's like the first half of the day is so great, so smooth, and then it's just like all of a sudden Cecilia needs more food or Cecilia needs more sleep, and you can't just like push them through it. You have to pause and give them the things that they need, because they're babies and they need you to look out for them. And how Jason and I used to travel is we'd be like, oh, we're tired, but like just keep walking. Like New York's all about walking the whole time and staying out all day and all night, getting like no sleep and just doing all the things. And this trip is definitely the type of trip that you cannot push your baby past their limit or it compounds. And we noticed that with her first nap, how we were like, oh, well, you know, she didn't really sleep because Jason was on the phone, but we'll just feed her and then we'll just throw her down for another nap after. It'll be totally fine. And things like that compound. So you have to be really open to canceling your plans, readjusting and resetting. One thing though that I'm trying to get better at as a mom and just as a person in general is resetting. It is something that I'm not super good at. It's like when I get in a funk or when I feel overwhelmed, I honestly just want to like throw in the towel and just be like, it's fine, I'll just whatever about it. But it's important to like be able to go, you know what, it's okay. Plan didn't happen, this didn't go the way I wanted to, but we're still gonna like make the most out of it. That's something that Jason's really good at, and so I think having a partner that complements you really well is one of the most helpful things on a trip like this. Just having someone to like pull you out of that and be like, it's okay that it didn't go the way you wanted it to, we're still gonna make the most of the rest of our day. So he's out grabbing some matcha for me, third coffee for him. We've run on caffeine at this point, and I'm gonna get Cecilia a feed in, even though she doesn't really need to feed right now. She fed I think like an hour and a half ago, but we're gonna feed anyway so that she is all fueled up and ready to go. And like I said, we're gonna go with the flow. Are you so content now? Yeah. Is that all you needed was a little afternoon snack? Yeah. Oh my goodness, that belly is just something else.